Niko, I'm getting your volume up. You are a little low.
I'm not really. I'm kind of mumbly, so check. Yeah. Hey, this is my loud, sort of loud voice.
Yeah,
hello.
Going back down. How am I in volume?
Good. You're fine.
Okay, good.
You're fine. All right, so let's get going here, boys.
Alrighty.
Welcome back to another episode of the Backline Podcast. I'm your host, Chief Redbeard, aka Billy. Got a couple guys with us.
This is when you go, Will Bob. You're going now.
I was about to, and you said something.
Here we go. Here we go. I'm Niko.
All right, guys. So we want to thank you once again for anybody that has subscribed to the channel, that has liked anything, commented. We really appreciate it. It's been awesome to see some interaction lately this week. So if you guys could keep it up, keep sharing. It goes a long way to help us out. Everything you do is extremely helpful for our channel. We just want to spread the gospel of BS music news and gear and whatnot. So it's pretty fun. We want to keep it going. So the more you guys do, the more we can go ahead and pump some content out.
Speaking of gear, dude, so I just got a Roland TD17 KVS, I believe it's called. And I almost don't want to talk about it because I've already been blowing you guys up about it since I got it a few days ago. Yeah, because for anybody else who doesn't know, I've been an analog acoustic drummer for years. I had an electric kit like 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, that's like a world apart to what it's come to now. And this thing's sick. I'm going to put in some footage of the drum kit over top of this just to show like what's going on. But basically, it's just pretty mid-tier electric drum kit. I'm looking at it right now. It's got the mesh head, so you got some decent rebound on it. The actual rack itself that you put the pads on, it's pretty sturdy. Not really any complaints there. The cymbals are small. They're definitely small. I'm not a fan. It's hard to get these rubber cymbals correct, just the way, it's impossible to replicate a real cymbal and the rebound and stuff. But overall, good kit, good. It feels good, looks decent, pretty clean. My only complaint when it comes to the physicality of the build is the bass drum head. The way it's mounted, it's sort of hard to explain, so I'll show it too. You have this, on the pedal, there's a mounting system, and it's two pieces of metal. You tighten it, the metal gets closer together, so you could tighten it, and so you can actually put it against a drum hoop on an actual drum kit, and then you tighten it, bam, you're locked in, you're good to go. Typically, it has to be flat. With this bass drum, it's lifted. So like you have the lip that you put the mounting over top of, but it's kind of has a round, like almost like a speed bump. Like when you go over, it has that for some reason right in the middle. So when you try to tighten it down, it's off kiltering. It's off. Exactly. Thank you. It's off kilter. It's fucked. And so like I have to basically, it's not a big deal unless you're kind of hitting hard with the double bass. And then after like 10 minutes, it just gets wobbly. So then you have to readjust it again. So I just like got really irritated and I absolutely killed it, just tightening it, dude.
You just flattened, you use the hardware to flatten that bump?
I might have broken my DW pedals, or at least the
pedals themselves?
The pedals themselves. No, the locking mechanism. I'm pretty sure I fucked it up. But overall, decent. The samples that the module comes with is pretty in-depth. It comes with over 50 drum kits, and then in those drum kits, you can change like individual cymbals. You could change the different snare types, different wood types, depths, dimensions, and then you could tune those as much as you want. And then this kind of blew my mind. You could muffle. I didn't know. I mean, I'm way behind the curve, so this is probably not groundbreaking to anybody but fucking me. But you can dampen and muffle the actual tones. So if you like something,
kind of like what a Moongel would do or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. And it blew my fucking mind. It doesn't explain it in a weird way with odd numbers and like a weird visual. It's literally like tape. It shows how
much tape. It
shows the footage. Yeah, tape. 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, and then it has like dampener ring option. Weight. What? You could put like if you put a brick onto like a snare drum, it's gonna make it's basically gonna kill your tone. But that is a fucking option on this module.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was sick. So I messed around with that for a while. I'm happy with it. I hate electric drums, if I'm being honest, when you're comparing them to acoustics.
I bet.
There's just to me, it's almost impossible to replicate unless you're going to pay literally like $5,000 for one of these hybrid acoustic electric drum kits. But even then, I think the head's just, it's just not true to what you're used to. But either way, it's a good replacement for, you know, I had my drums at a storage unit and just, it's like 30 minutes away, and it was kind of a pain in the ass to get up and jam and practice and do stuff. I have the practice kit back here too, but I needed, you know, I want to write. I want to, you know, everyone's writing because everyone has so much downtime, and now I can actually kind of contribute and get my creative juices flowing. I got lost the other day in like 3 hours of jamming and like writing, and like I was able to like get out of my head, and it felt awesome. So, yeah, electric kits are good. Breaking news.
Not as bad as I thought they were.
Exactly. So,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I was super psyched about it. And then I got, based on Billy's recommendation, Get Good drum samples. I'm using the kit as a MIDI controller going through the computer, and then into like Reaper, and then Get Good drums are now mapped to my electric kit. So I'm over the moon. I can't complain about anything when it comes to that, dude. So
it keeps track of all the velocity hits and everything just fine through that VST.
Yeah, you can apply it through the software on your computer, or you can go to your module and adjust it. So it's like it's like either or. I've just been doing everything on the computer just because it's a little easier, because the module is just like a knob and it's weird, and some buttons. But I have a keyboard and mouse, so it's way easier. Sure. Yeah, it's sick. So send me your sick riffs, bros.
I sent you some last night. Go ahead and take a look.
Oh yeah, you did. I forgot.
So that is one good thing. So if you are obviously a guitar player, so we have talked about already on this channel, different plugins and stuff that you can work with in case you don't have any modelers at hand. There are definitely some great plugins, including the Fluff one from ML Sound Labs. It's absolutely free right now. I've been digging that lately. And then for drummers, get an electric kit. They range in prices, and you know, as Niko stated, you can always run those through some type of sample plugin to make them sound better, just as long as the response on the pads is okay. I think it'd be all right with most of those. But one of the things you can do, obviously, during this time is definitely use this time to develop your chops, do some writing, maybe learn some covers, which will help you, you know, in effect, become better at your craft when you're playing somebody else's stuff, just because you might learn something that you didn't know that you could do, or didn't even know that it was possible. So I highly recommend, as much as you can, you know, do what you can with your instrument. A little bit of a news story that came out, looks like 5 days ago. I was reading on, Fender has been known to use ash bodies as a part of their body for their guitar, and they have decided that they will no longer be using ash bodies for their production line guitars anymore.
Wow. Well, is it going to be like a USA custom only thing?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. So basically they...
what are they switching to?
The woods that they're finding, I guess ash is becoming really, really hard to find. And then when they do, it's hard to find a good, you know, piece of
quality
ash. You know, quality to be able to actually work with it. So I guess at this point they've decided to stop making their guitars with ash. And I believe,
is it basswood?
So alder is their favorite hardwood to use for their bodies.
Oh, ash is a type of wood.
Yeah, sorry, ash is the wood.
Okay. No, I feel like I should have known that for some reason. I didn't know that. Okay.
All good. So now they're using so alder will still be there. But the ash does go back to the early days of Fender, so it is something different. I believe my bass in the back here is ash.
I think so, yeah.
And it's part of that production line. So it's been a pretty, integral part of their setup, but now they're going to not be using that. And I was trying to find, I thought I saw in here, so I apologize. I will link the article though.
I'd almost say basswood. That's the most common wood you can get. That's still decent at resonating.
It's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap
and it's totally equal. Yeah, so alder I think is going to be their bigger one too. It's what it's looking like.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of a big story there. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Wood, dude. Wood. What is ash wood?
Yeah,
is that a type of tree? That's a stupid question, dude. That sounded like a dumb fucking question. Oh my god. Is the wood a tree?
Oh man.
Oh god.
Wood, I mean, in your wheelhouse, it'd be like babinga and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. What have you guys been seeing? Any? I had this idea we should come up with like movie suggestions, maybe. Like maybe one's not, because everyone's on their streaming service. They see what's trending. They see what's hot right now. You're never going to miss though. If someone asks me if I watched Tiger King, one more time, I'm going to fucking flip out. Yes, everyone's seen
one
it.
episode.
It was trending number. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You didn't like it?
I don't watch Netflix.
What?
I just don't watch it. Yeah. It took me a while to actually get around to watching one episode. And then, I don't know, for me, watching things alone, in my situation, I'm just alone.
Yeah.
It's like, it's boring.
Okay. So it's better to do what?
As opposed to do nothing.
What do you do?
Playing
Nap.
guitar or
True.
something
Nap.
Productive.
Yeah.
Nap.
Yeah.
Nap.
You're a fucking loser. Sit around and watch Netflix like me, dude. Lose circulation in your legs.
Have you guys seen American Satan?
What's that?
It is a movie. I want to say Sumerian Records actually was a big part of putting the movie out. I'm pretty sure it's still on Showtime, and I think they're either doing a spin-off show or a spin-off movie of some sort. But it's got the lead singer of what was the band? I think Black Veil Brides. Could be wrong on that.
Wow.
Not that we listen to them. The guitar player from Asking Alexandria and a couple other guys. But basically, it is about this journey of a band that, back in the day, you move out to LA and you try to score your record deal. And basically, they sell their soul to the devil.
To become
and then they
famous.
go through. But as silly as that sounds, that movie gets fucking insane.
As far as how real?
No. Just like the insanity that is their life at that point. I if you're able to watch it, I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I'm on.
I watched it and it started, and it was kind of cool when it started because it's a journey of a band getting together, how they're finding the members, but then the insanity that ensues after they start the band, it's just fucking crazy. I recommend that as a movie.
I'm on the Wikipedia right now, and I didn't know this, but Sumerian has a film sister company or some
Production
shit.
company?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's wild. And it's box office. What do you think? Don't look it up. Do not look it up. What do you think the box office was for this movie?
I didn't even know it came out in the box office. I'm going to guess 5 million.
That $5 million bill or Will Bob?
I'm going to say, with it being that, 2 mil.
2 mil, 5 mil. Here's a little, this is the game of the day right here. $250,000. $250,000, dude.
Quarter mil.
I'm sorry, 237,708 if we're being fair.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So I think I saw that. I want to say a year ago. You just talk about movies and the fact that we're doing more of a music kind of thing here. That movie for some reason came up, and I think I saw it over a year ago. I think it's still on Showtime. Showtime and HBO, and then they try to rotate their movies in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure it's still there. It's probably why. So they're trying to still recoup some of the funds because it was a good looking film. It was on par to me with like the Motley Crue Netflix documentary, or not documentary, but Netflix biography of Motley Crue.
Haven't heard of that one.
That one's actually really good as well. That one, so it has
Which one?
Actors, and basically it's called The Dirt.
Oh yeah, you like that?
I thought it was great. I'm not a huge Motley Crue fan, but just to kind of see how they got started, and their guitar player Mick, whatever his name is. I mean,
Nikki Sixx.
He should have died a long time ago. He's still fucking playing. No, not Nikki Sixx. They're Mick Marr.
Oh, okay.
He's got like some like fucking weird disease with his back and shit where he shouldn't be like even able to move right now. But he's still going. So he was, he was actually probably the most sober one out of all of them too. But again, insanity to go through. I thought The Dirt was great. I thought that was one of the better biographical films that have come out. Besides like Bohemian Rhapsody was good, but that was on a much larger scale.
I haven't seen that either yet. I'm terrible with movie watching, so I'm bad at contributing anything for this kind of topic.
It's all right.
Oh, well, now we're going to get you in the zone and start watching some, then you're going to be hooked.
Would make me feel even lonelier.
So have you been
shit.
have you been watching like YouTube guys that you're into that maybe are under the radar that need more, shine?
Every now and then, I'll maybe watch a YouTube video, but then it's things I can
the
easily
Backline
be
podcast.
distracted with, playing guitar or working on something. So if anything, it'll be background noise. I don't pay attention.
All right, well, I guess you could like play Uno real quick while I go over my one suggestion. I have there is a movie. I don't think it was on trending. I saw it like 3 weeks ago or something. It's called The Platform. It's a foreign movie, so there's subtitles, or you could listen to the horrible audio
dubbing
replacement, and it's terrible. But so I like subtitles. But either way, it's like a
same boat.
Not a post. It reminds me of Snowpiercer. It's like a dystopian future, and then there's some weird kitschy thing going on. And in this one, there's a prison, and there's like a ton of levels to the prison. It's all vertical, and it's literally like a cement room, and then in that cement room in the middle is a hole, like a square hole that you can obviously go through, but you look down, it's straight down until the next level, which is like 15, 20 feet. So you definitely break something if you jump down there, but you could see all the other people there. And it's just this constant hole with people living on every level. And then once a day,
Fallout Shelter?
They're prisoners. They're prisoners there. No,
I was thinking of the Batman movie, that the jail that's in the
Oh
pit.
yeah.
And
From,
there's
Dark
two. Everyone has every floor you're on is numbered, and they have one other roommate on that floor. And then once a day, there's a platform that comes down through the hole, and it has food on it. It stops at your level, and you basically have like a couple minutes maybe to eat whatever is on the platform. But every level goes down, there's less and less food. And then towards the end, it's like there's no food left because the people above that are on a certain level are eating as much as they can because they know how fucked they would be. And then so the people on the lower levels are like killing each other and fucking it's nutty. And then after a month of that, you change to another level. They pump gas in, they put you to sleep, and then they send you to another level. And it's random, seemingly random. It could be a much lower level.
So the people at the top are kind of like, oh man, there's all this food here.
Go nuts. I get it now. Exactly. Yeah.
I might miss out next month.
Exactly. And it's wild as fuck, dude. It's one of the most unique premises I've seen. It is one of those like gimmicky, you watch it because you want to see what happens.
It's like a B roll or a B actor kind of thing. Low tier horror-ish thing.
So
like The Cube.
Okay, it's a little higher quality than The Cube and like The Circle. You know, those movies look like almost the exact same situation.
Anticipating that.
Yeah, it's like that. We literally, it's one of those dumb movies that you want to watch because you're like, wow, this is fucking weird. I want to see what happens. That's the only reason you're watching it. And you get about as many answers as you expect towards the end of it. But it's a good movie overall. It's like an hour and 45. It's fucking sick. Billy, did you have any movies that you've seen that are like under the radar a little bit, or like a show, whatever the fuck?
I don't think recently.
Nothing.
Other than that terrible American Satan. You can watch that.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Most of the stuff that I've seen is big. I mean, the most recent movie I've seen is The Gentleman. I highly recommend it.
The what now?
Great movie. The Gentleman.
The Gentleman.
Yeah, it's a newer movie. It's made by the same producer who made Snatch.
Oh, that's
director, rather. Guy Ritchie. And it's kind of along those kind of lines, but not really at the same time. But it had its funniest moments, and then it had its absolute insane moments. And it was really, really entertaining. It's got Hugh Grant, Charlie Hunnam in it, Colin Farrell, who I haven't seen in a movie in it feels like 2 decades.
Yeah, it's been a while for me since I've seen him. Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey, who plays this just absolute fucking badass throughout the whole movie. Basically, Matthew McConaughey's character is basically the biggest drug lord in like England.
Wow.
Really weird story of how he got there. And then grows this massive empire that, it's everybody's job to protect, and people are obviously trying to attack it. And he's super fucking genius with where he keeps his farms and stuff like that. He grows pot and sells it. And he's, worth hundreds of millions dollars. Like, it's ridiculous. So I thought it was awesome. Really, really well done. That would be most recent thing I've seen that I highly recommend.
The Gentleman, The Platform, and what the fuck, American
Satan
with the brides, veiled brides. What are their names?
Black veiled bride.
The guys that look like chicks on purpose. And
correct.
It's just it's 80s metal.
He does wear a lot of makeup. Asking Alexandria, guitar player too.
Yeah, what isn't it like? Is it like? I don't want to say emo. Is it like?
It's emo.
No. Well, yeah, you might be right with that.
I don't think it's not on the level of emo that I think our peers would say is emo. It's like pop.
They sing like this.
What it is.
Kind
It's
of a thing.
pop rock. I don't
Pop
know.
rocks.
I've never.
I like pop rocks.
I honestly don't think I've ever listened to them. I just imagine the way they
What
look.
is this subgenre you're talking about?
I feel like they
Billy?
look
Pop
what they
rock.
sound like, and vice versa.
Pop rock.
What?
Hmm?
They look what they sound like, and they sound like their look as well. Like it matches. It's completely fitting. Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
I have actually, on some music note, I have a really cool story. I just linked you guys the post. For those of you guys who don't know, there was a band back, I guess it was around 2014 is what I'm reading here. I'm trying to remember the exact time. But 2014, band called The Ghost Inside was involved in a fatal bus crash that basically killed their driver and the driver of an 18-wheeler who was coming at them. It was a head-on collision that left them with the two deaths of the both drivers, and then the entire band was severely injured. The drummer lost a leg. I think that's all he lost is just one leg. And everybody else, most of them are still going treatment and surgeries to get back. It's been, nearly 6 years.
Wow, that's nuts.
But they just dropped a new track. So they were very specific in saying this album is by far going to be very personal and very much about our story of what we kind of went through these last 6 years between recovery, heartbreak, and trying to get back to where we were. I mean, 6 years ago, they were one of the bigger, kind of metal, hardcore type bands out there.
I'll see you in the
people love them.
sunsets. I remember that song, dude. Sick.
So they went from that. They had just played a show 2 days before the crash. They were driving to the next spot, and then fucking chaos. So they brought out this new track. I listened to it actually before we got on. I finally had a chance to sit down, and it was great. And I have hopes for the new album. I wasn't the biggest Ghost Inside fan myself. I've got some friends that were. They're it's that typical music. I just for some reason I never sat down and listened to them. I've got my typical bands that I've got on repeat. So they weren't one of them, but after hearing this, I mean, the song is pretty emotional, and you could kind of feel and hear between the lyrics and kind of what they went through just in this one song. But definitely recommend checking this new song out. So this new song is called Aftermath.
Is it a bummer song? Sounds like a bummer song.
No, I'm
it's a
listening
bit
to it right
bummer.
now.
It's a bit bummerish. There's some parts, but it's like we're back. You know what I mean?
That's good.
We went through hell and back, and we're back, and we're doing. I mean, the drummer is playing drums with one leg. He's
doing triplets pretty snappy. Sounds great.
He's got an apparatus of his knee kind of taps on this big kind of like circle thing that actually controls the right side. It's his right leg too.
They had to custom make all that equipment for him. It was nuts. I saw the video.
Sure. Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts. That's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Pretty insane. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. I don't know if does Ghost Inside have clean vocals? Niko,
they
do you know?
like chanty stuff. That's kind of clean.
That's what I thought. He's got some clean parts in there, and I think that's where you could kind of hear the emotion.
They kind of have like the old school hardcore screaming going on. Like
for sure. That's the kind of band. Yeah, that's the kind of band they've always been. They played a show, I think last year or the year before. It was their kind of comeback show. People were super fucking stoked on that. And I guess they've been working on this album and just trying to get it. It's tough for them. Again, still going through treatment and everything. They were able to get this album done. I guess the album's coming out soon. So I thought that was really, really cool to see that. It says them telling our story. Allows anyone to listen in the world, but lets us put our final punctuation on the chapter of our lives. So, June 5th. Album comes out June 5th. It's a self-titled album. So that's going to be awesome. But I thought that was really cool. I saw the article and figured I'd give it a shot. I know I've listened to Ghost Inside songs. I know I enjoyed them. It's just, one of those bands that sounds really good, but they never just drew me in. There was never one thing that was like, oh, fuck, to me. My personal opinion, but there's never anything that's like, oh yeah, I got to listen to this shit.
To me, I've been a fan of them for a while. To me, they are a really, really good example of making do with what you have, if that makes sense. Like they have traditionally structured songs, everything's you've heard everything that they're playing, but they're able to write the songs in a way that everything hits fucking perfect. Like it gets like they stop at the right time, they start at the right time, but everything you can listen to the song and you could play everything they're playing like no problem. Like technically they're not insane. Whoever's writing those songs is nuts, because I've been such a fan for so long, and they never do anything that like anybody who's been basically playing their instrument for like, I don't know, 5 years or so can't do, essentially. I don't know, kind of broad strokes right here. But yeah, I don't see a lot of bands like that where they're not going for some technical crazy shit, but they're still doing something that is like, it gives you goosebumps, and it's very strange. But I love it.
I say this song did it.
Oh, good.
You go ahead.
Okay, I'm saying that they're unique enough that they don't sound too generic. They find ways to have the melodies catch your ear without you going, "Isn't that another song I heard from this band?" or anything. Yeah, and that's a really hard thing to do. Writing simplistic music.
Oh my god!
But not, like it's something catchy, simple, but that isn't already made.
It just fucking hits. Yeah, that's why I respect the shit out of them so much. Yeah, they don't go for some weird fucking gimmick. They're exactly.
I can always appreciate that when something's simplistic. And yeah, when you listen to it, you're like, oh, I could have written this. What the fuck?
Yeah, why didn't I think of that? It's like seeing that invention on late night TV or whatever on the infomercials. You're like, how the fuck did I not think of that? Plus, oh, and I got a nice little invention somebody needs to think of: cellophane wrap or plastic wrap that doesn't fucking just stick to itself. How about that? Okay, because I was fucking wrapping up some leftovers. I was losing my mind. It just kept it wouldn't stick to the dish. It just stuck to itself, and I was terrible. Like just balling up. I was like, foil forever, or I need to become a scientist and figure out I need plastic wrap. Sorry.
Yeah. So if this song is a testament to what they've done in the past, and maybe I should revisit. I thought it was really good. But some new music Wednesday.
I'm gonna check it out
when you guys hear this.
New music Wednesday.
Pretty good. Yeah, new music Wednesday.
That's catchy, dude.
It was a Japanese metal band.
All right. Cool. So yeah, I got another piece of gear. It's amazing. I have 2 pieces of gear this week. Who would have thought? If you guys want to click on the article, it's freaking. I'm gonna try to explain it best I can with my inarticulate ass, but it's what drum triggers are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we can explain it to the audience.
You have this little device, this little sensor, if you will, and you attach it to your drum on the rim. So the little piece that's going to be sensing vibration is going to be against the head. It just clips right to the side of your drum hoop, and then when you hit the drum, it senses vibration, sends a signal to some sort of interface, and then another sound will come out. Basically, it's a sound replacement. And you can make it, like if I hit my snare, I could program it to where once it's sensed, you can basically put anything. If I want, a cat farting, I can get that put onto that sample. So
not sure why you haven't done that yet.
Who says I didn't? Triggers have been around for a while, but this new technology, they're not calling it a trigger. It looks exactly like a trigger. They're calling it sensory percussion drum sensor kit with software. A 4-pack is $1,000, and basically the difference now is it's not. I can't even figure out how the technology works. I've read the descriptor a million times and I don't get it. Basically, you put the sensor on like you would a trigger on your drum, and then instead of you hitting it and then one sound coming out, this thing can see or can tell somehow where you're hitting on the drum, whether it be top left rim, bottom right rim, inside, middle, and then dead center. Like you could literally get, if you program it, you can get 10 different sounds from one sensor, from one drum. And typically I don't give a shit about like the new and improved like little hardware upgrades, and like, because it usually I don't know, I don't have that technological itch to always be on the new. But for some reason this is like wild as fuck, because you could literally be a DJ. I can put in some there's some YouTube clips too if you guys want to look, but if not, I don't blame you. You can literally like hit so many different parts of your drums, and you can make so many different noises that you can make your own like dubstep beat by yourself without any third-party software, or without going into the MIDI controls and like fucking programming the bullshit, which is the most tedious crap I could ever think to do. And yeah, it's live, and then you just record it. And I've heard a couple things, and this is still pretty new, and it sounds incredible. Would I ever use it? I don't know.
I'm watching that Sweetwater guy, Nick D'Angelo, or whatever his name is. And he's hitting all different angles of the head, and then the rims also count like an electric drum kit would do, a different piece.
Yeah,
but he's using an acoustic kit.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. I don't know what is. He didn't even explain the technology. He said, if you want an in-depth explanation about the technology, you can talk to this guy who invented it, basically. He'll go nuts and explain it. I still need to look into that, but I can't even figure out. I mean, the only thing, I'm an idiot. I don't know. Fucking maybe different parts of the drum gives off different frequencies based on the tension. So if you're at the rim, you know, that's obviously a different material, so it gives different vibration signals. I don't know, Tremors, the movie Tremors. I don't know how this works. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like what's cool is you got the triggers, and then you have some pretty very in-depth software to go along with it, to where you can pretty much, like you said, change it up to anything you want, where you want that hit to even be. So if you're a person that only wants just straight center hits, I think you could probably trigger it to where it'll only sound as a center hit, no matter where the hell you hit on there too. This software looks more complicated than anything I've ever kind of messed with. There's a lot to it. So basically you could just take these and have your drums sound however the hell you want.
You could literally have a full band just from the drum kit by hitting whatever the fuck you program. It's crazy.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing in the video, there's a little sticker that's included that is a enhancing sensor thing for the sensor of the trigger to go onto your drum head. Mm-hmm. And it looks like it splays out into different directions, and that's how it can tell, I guess, between the distance of left and right, top to bottom, you know, on the x-axis of your drum kit. That little sticker's splayed out enough that it can tell where you're hitting and all that.
But how?
Because I don't know. There's like a sensor on the face of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if the rubber part that clamps onto the rim is what's sensing the rim being hit, that then would be like a cymbal hit rather than a rim hit or whatever.
Well, how exactly does it's one thing I've never looked in. So how exactly does a drum trigger work? Is there a microphone inside the device, or is there a laser or something?
It's just a felt pad usually that then just senses vibration, like kind of like how dynamic mics work. It's a spring being pushed by air pressure of us talking at it. The same concept applies to a trigger, but it's a stiffer spring, and then that spring, it's got its own sensitivities. But you know, generally we can't speak or yell as loud as a drum hit is. You know, so those springs are a little bit stronger.
So most triggers are at least similar look in these. So there is an XLR output from it, and then this attaches to your drum head.
This one's hard for me to say because I don't see any mechanism behind it other than a reader.
Right. So your old Niko, your old kick drum trigger, you know how because it was a similar device.
It's
like
a
this,
similar.
Right?
They look. The thing is, they look similar because.
They're
meant to have,
right? But they obviously these are different. Yeah. But how did the old Roland work? How did it pick up that
all triggers
sensor?
work exactly the same. They just have different hardware and setups, but they all exactly what Daniel said. You hit it. You could literally tap it with your finger, right? And then it senses that vibration. It sends the signal to the module that you set up, whatever sample you program to that specific input. It's now going to activate that sample at whatever whatever you set it up as to come out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and usually the triggers, more expensive ones, would have like sensitivity trigger points where it's like if you did a ghost tap on it, it wouldn't set it off. You'd have to full on hit it for it to activate, things like that.
Exactly. So you don't get a bunch of mishits on accident that typically wouldn't be heard.
Misfires, I think they call them.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So that's how a trigger works. This ain't a fucking trigger, dog. There's
no. This looks like it looks like there's a like a light reader, like an IR sensor or something.
It has
to
be, right? Yeah, it has to be.
I mean, that
maybe
little sticker
somehow sends that signal through the XLR. I don't know. Technology's, I think for $1,000, that's not bad at all.
For the amount of possibilities and shit, it's just like,
yeah, for sure.
This would be great for
drums.
like, I would say street performers.
Hell
That'd be
yeah,
cool. One man band.
Fuck a bucket, dude.
Each of those modules looks like they cost $250 themselves. So if you had more drums or something to trigger up, you could. No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved it. But that was my little update of gear. Niko.
Sure. I've got a piece of gear I'm going to link you guys to that I've seen it before and it came back up again and I completely forgot that I had seen it before. But it's kind of interesting. So basically, I've linked you guys to it. So basically it is called the Mower Tone Capture. And what it is it is basically a guitar pedal that you can so our modelers that we have, like the Kemper, for example, you take a guitar amplifier and you could profile it. So that way you have that sound on hand. What the Mower Tone Capture does is it will profile your guitar.
That is insane.
So then you could always have the sound of that guitar on your hand. So, a lot of people want to play, the big three out there. Let's just say you got a PRS, a Gibson Les Paul, and a Fender Strat.
Or Strat, yeah.
Or Tele, whatever your flavor is, right? So with this, if you don't have the option to get that, you can plug whatever the hell guitar you have, and it'll sound like a Fender Strat through this guitar pedal. And it's really, really crazy and interesting.
It's not a bad price either.
It works. So this article is from
UK
Guitar World. So the cons for it are it's very convincing single coil tones from humbuckers, which is something that people do desire. So a humbucker is basically two single coils back to back. So the pickup, for those of you who don't know, is what picks up the vibration, similar to like a trigger, and is able to output that into a signal and a sound. Single coils have a really thin kind of over the top bright sound for the most part. Like a Strat is mostly all single coils on your traditional Strats. Teles on your traditional Teles are single coils, while most metal guys are going to play through humbuckers. So it's saying that you can get pretty convincing single coil tones from your humbuckers. It's easy to use and it's affordable. The only against that they have here is not the most convincing with acoustic tones. So which I could see that. And there are other pedals out there that are very, very good, and other devices turn your electric guitar, make it sound like an acoustic guitar. But it seems pretty simple. It's $99. And you just match that, and then you plug in your other guitar. Just another little device out there to just make us guitar players just go nuts and try out different shit that we don't actually need.
This seems like it'd be a great idea for cover bands that want to have just that one guitar, maybe two.
For sure. I mean, if that song calls for that Stratty tone and you're trying to get it out of there, it's something definitely worth. I mean, for $99, you can't really beat
that's
it.
what I'm saying.
Even if it gets close, right? If it gets close to it
in a live setting, it's hard to really differentiate, but it might sound better.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I wonder how the feel would be.
I'm sure. It's based
not
on
that
your
you
guitar,
would feel anything different, but you would. I mean, I would play a single coil kind of guitar different than a humbucker. Like I'm going to play a little harder because I'm used to the humbucker sound. And for some reason, I'm not thinking, and I want that single coil to sound like a humbucker, right? I push it a little harder, whatever the case may be. But to be able to just stomp on a pedal, and now I could just keep playing normal. And I'd be interested also to see how a single coil would go to a humbucker sound.
Yeah.
In this article, they discuss the opposite, but you want your Strat, the article reads, you want to make your Strat sound like a Les Paul, or your Tele like a Jackson Soloist. Moore might have the solution. So I've seen a video. It's fairly convincing. Just another little kind of almost gimmicky kind of thing, but you have different tone shifts on there and everything, and a target or a source, so you can actually swap back. So if you still want the original sound of your guitar to come back, you can do that as well. But just another cool little pedal out there.
That's pretty incredible, dude. Would you get this, or is this just neat to you?
I think it's neat. I'm not sure that I'd get it. I would probably personally want the actual guitar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's for somebody out there that can get, maybe you can get your local music shop to let you sample a Les Paul. But, first of all, if you're still buying Gibsons in today's time, something may be wrong with you. Hopefully things are getting better, but Gibson's quality control has gone to complete shit. The company has, but it seems like they're getting better, but I'm not convinced yet. But regardless, let's say you're able to find a old 60s, Les Paul, and you want that sound, but that 60s Les Paul is going to run you $5,000+. So instead of paying $5,000, you buy a $99 pedal. Just like instead of spending $2,000 per amp, I spent the $1,800 or whatever Kempers cost, and I'm able to capture multiple of those with that one price tag. Instead of $2,000, like I said, I've got over $100,000 worth of amp tones and an $1,800 device. So, pretty much you could do the same thing with this. If you want certain guitars, it looks like you can do up to 7 different sounding guitars. So it just profiles that sound. So I would think too, it'll profile pickup. So if you want maybe an EMG type sound, you could profile the EMG or tone match it, whatever we're calling it here. I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's a little gimmicky, but again, if that person can't afford that 60s Les Paul, find somebody with one or your local music shop, go take an imprint of it and then plug your guitar in. Just won't feel at all. I guess it's
kind of, you can compare it to like drum samples and electric kits and shit like that. Yeah.
Right. You're not going to have that master Babinga set, but you can make your drums sound like it if you have triggers or sampling set up.
Yeah, which I get. Yeah. Okay.
This kind of tool was something I would probably like to look at before buying a Charvel, but that's why I got the Charvel, was its practicality and being able to go from single coiled humbucking and stuff like that with a switch. I have, 2 different switches on my guitar that change up the dynamics of it and how it plays. And I just wanted that versatility. This pedal would have been something great to look at too.
For sure.
And it helps with playing diverse musics of going from classic rock to modern metal and stuff like that. I can stay on the same guitar. Without
switching guitars, correct. Yeah. So you still get that sound out of it that you want without switching up guitars, or, you could obviously do that with effects, or if you have a Charvel where you can go, or not necessarily a Charvel, a lot of guitars do it, but from a humbucker to a single coil split on your guitar, splitters, anything like that, they're there, but even some of the splits, they still don't get you to that Strat tone. So if this pedal can get you to that Strat, right, if that pedal can get you to that Strat sound, then why not do it?
Yeah, like so far the Charvel is great, but my Silver Ibanez still nails the perfect tone of a Strat to me on the 4th position. Okay, right. Niko, look like something.
I can't tell if this spider is a brown recluse, and it's freaking me the fuck out.
Oh,
I can't tell, dude. It's on the outside, so there's a window. Yeah, sorry, there's a window right there.
You're safe. Just set your house on fire and leave. You're fine.
Jesus Christ. I was like, dude, I'm dead. Dude. It's going to come through the window. Fuck. Sorry.
All right, so we are going to do a little rapid fire of stories here, not to dive into most. Let's get a couple reactions, and then we'll move on.
Let's do it.
The first one, worst thing I've seen this week is Mr. Wes Scantlin. And if you don't know who that is, he is the lead singer of Puddle of Mud. Your favorite metal band from
Physical Challenge
middle school.
Fuck.
He's been mocked and made fun of all week because he tried to do Puddle of Mud tried to do a cover of About a Girl from Nirvana. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He's got zero voice anymore. For that style of music, butt rock, he had it back in the day. He couldn't sing for shit. He sounded fucking terrible. And his quote to the mockers is, "Rise above others who try and take you down. I am at my best now. And that's all that matters. I pray for you because we care. Jealousy is toxic, and toxic people are a waste of time. We walk away with nothing but a smile." And they put up a picture that says, "Praying for you today."
Okay, I got a hot take on this. Who the fuck is Puddle of Mud? Can you hum a song, maybe?
You actually play one of the songs at the end of every single set. I'm sorry, every single show that you play. She fucking hates me. That's Puddle of Mud.
Man, they're a great band. It's a great song, great idea, great cover. I love it. I love it. Nothing bad to say on my end.
He can't sing for shit anymore.
No, that sucks.
Quick thoughts, Daniel?
I mean, they're past their prime. It's whatever.
Uninterested, unfazed.
It's garbage. He's in and out of the news because he's one of those guys that goes to a show, he gets drunk before the show, he falls on stage, he cusses everybody out, he leaves the show. Similar to like an Aaron Lewis, the lead singer of Stained. He's pretty similar to that. Maybe you guys haven't heard that or given a fuck.
Neither do I, but
heard of any. I've seen that one a lot too. They're pretty much the same person.
Jeez.
Moving on, you guys will like this one. I had to open this article. The headline read, ICP cancel gathering 2020. We refuse to risk even one Juggalo life.
Heck yeah. They care about you.
Shit, dude. I'm glad.
They need those Juggalos and Juggalettes to be safe.
I'm glad they care about me. That's exciting to hear.
So once again, another show canceled. Not going to bore you with the details of the article. Something cool. Now, I'm going to link you guys this one. I'll probably link everything eventually. We could throw it up in the video for people to see. Is this it? Let me see here. Nope, wrong one.
Same thing.
Let me go back to it. But so there's some new clothing out that looks tight. I'm just not sure I would get it.
Looks tight.
Same thing.
Oh my God, it's the same fucking thing.
I don't want to wear this, Billy. I don't want to wear this Moore tone capture.
We are experiencing technological differences.
I'm
trying to make us wear pedals here.
I can't wear a pedal. Or are you implying?
Okay, for some reason, so I pasted it in the thing. Here we go. All right. Copy. Paste. We can do computers, right?
No, that's
so Mr. Ozzy Osbourne has come out with his own line of coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
Bat-themed fucking clothing. And on
great.
He's got a t-shirt and a mask, and they both say, fuck coronavirus.
That's
awesome. I kind of want to get it.
I'm not even sure how
I've
just heard this. I've never heard. Wow. I don't know how I feel about this one, dude.
I like how they had to put a medical label. Like, this is no replacement for the N95 mask. This is just bullshit.
Does it really come with a mask?
Yeah. So the tee and the mask are $40 on, it looks like Ozzy's website, store.ozzy.com. You can find it there. Plenty of other gear to get, but it's an all black tee with some green, very lime green writing on it. Ozzy, bat, fuck coronavirus.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I've come to terms with how I feel. Fuck this. I'm upset with Ozzy. That is so it's so shit. It's so shit, man. God, this sucks. Sorry. That's it.
Next rapid fire. Daniel, any other thoughts on that?
It's a long sleeve. I hate long sleeve.
That's it.
That's all I got.
Nothing about Ozzy putting out a fuck coronavirus with a bat on there. It's a long sleeve. Fuck that. Mask looks stupid. Moving on, Daniel.
It's pointless.
One of Daniel's favorite guitar players made a headline. Eddie Van Halen once pointed a gun at Fred Durst after he wouldn't give his gear back.
Wait, Fred Durst wouldn't give.
Any of you guys know that Eddie Van Halen almost played for Limp Bizkit?
No.
Wow, he was almost the Wes. He
was almost the Wes after Wes. After Wes Borland left,
he was going to be the new Wes.
Fred Durst joked that it would be hilarious that the greatest guitar player ever plays with the worst band ever.
Oh my God, yeah,
and Van Halen basically said, "Why not?"
Are you serious?
Was this during his what do you call it? His rehabilitation phase when he was like, "Yeah, alcohol, I don't need it. Worst band ever, sure." Life's
Probably
amazing.
It says Eddie once bought an assault vehicle from a military auction. It had a gun mount on the back. He drove it to LA and was sitting in the front lawn of where Limp Bizkit was rehearsing. He got out wearing no shirt, his hair in a samurai bun on the top of his head, his jeans held up with a strand of rope, and combat boots held together by duct tape, and he had a gun in his hand. The asshole answered the door, Bennett recalled, Van Halen explaining.
What?
It looks like he tried out or played with them. Fred Durst wouldn't give his gear back, and he showed up, military assault vehicle, ready to fire.
Oh my God.
That's my hero.
Wow.
I have never heard about that.
That's respect. I got nothing. He could have done a million steps before that. And he
flexed. He flexed on Fred Durst, being like,
wow.
Boy.
Jesus. Maybe he did try to, I don't know, too much. Anyways, hot take. Respect. Respect.
I love it. My hero.
Another quick thing to say, last week's episode, we mentioned, at least Niko and I did, about how ridiculous Matty Mullins was at a show. And it was very, very funny to see that exact same topic in another video series called the Punk Rock MBA. I enjoy it. The guy's pretty cool and had some really interesting thoughts on many different things involving music, but played the exact same clip of Voice of a Generation from Matty Mullins, and I thought it was pretty fucking hilarious that had the exact same idea of why people hate the band. Apparently since then, Matty Mullins has grown up, come out and apologize for his weird lyrics and antics against people. But just a quick thing there. And then I want to get into a quick story, and then I think we'll get into the album review. What do you guys think? All right, so big story. I haven't heard about this, but recently I have seen some really, really bad things come out about Mr. Jeff Kiesel and the Kiesel Guitars factory.
Like quality control.
If you guys are unfamiliar with them, Kiesel Guitars, originally Carvin Guitars, is a California guitar factory that basically makes...
Wow.
Huh?
I didn't know they came from Carvin.
So it's a family operation. So it was, I forget, his grandfather's name was Carvin, and then another Kiesel that it was married in a couple generations back. And then they actually split it a couple years ago. They split the Carvin and Kiesel name from each other. Mm-hmm. The Carvin family took the Carvin stuff, and the Kiesel family took the Kiesel stuff. The Carvin was really only doing amps and stuff at that time, and there was one Carvin guitar that was still being produced by Kiesel. Okay. And I think they've since stopped production on that, but it's all the same family. There's some kind of marriage or name in there, but it's like Jeff Kiesel's grandfather was also, he was Carvin or something like that. But then like somebody else's Kiesel, I forget the exact story, but yeah, they're the same company. Same family, everything. So it's a family-run operation. It's a custom shop guitar manufacturer out of California. A lot of your big YouTubers, or a good portion of them, some of those are endorsed by Kiesel, so they play a lot of their Kiesel guitars, like Stevie T-Berry. I can't think of the one guy's name. It's not the dude, but the other one that you can actually see his face, but has a similar playing style. Forget his name. Quite a few different Kiesel guitar players out there, though. And then big artists like Lee. Damn it, I can't remember his name, but he's a guitar player, Born of Osiris. He's got a signature out there. Guitar player from Our Last Night. I think all of them use Kiesel gear now. So a lot of people use the stuff. So you would think when it comes to all these endorsees that they would have some pretty nice quality products, and I've seen some, I've played some, they're pretty good. The thing about Kiesel is instead of paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a custom guitar, you could pay, between $1,500 and $2,500 for really whatever kind of guitar you want. They have obviously a stock of body size or body shapes that you can pick from, a selection there, different headstocks, and they have options, but you can option out the guitar instead of, that one looks cool, I want that one. They do sell some already pre-built guitars. This is what we built. Do you like it? We did. Here it is for sale. But for the most part, you can go ahead and select your options. So recently, Jeff Kiesel has been in the news because he did that. Somebody bought a guitar from him, and the new thing is roasted maple neck. So basically, they take a regular maple neck and they literally roast it in an oven. And what it does is it is supposed to help stabilize the neck so it won't really move that much. So, stability for how it plays, your tuning, everything like that.
It locks in hydration.
It locks into hydration, and then it also gives it a really awesome aesthetic look. It turns it into a caramel brown kind of color. Some of the ones with fancy flame maple or spalted maple, they get really dark parts of the neck, and it just looks awesome. So this guy gets this guitar. According to this guy, he's bought over 20 Kiesel/Carvin guitars from the company. So he gets this new guitar in, and the roasted maple neck was not roasted at all.
Oh, wow.
So he called and was like, hey, so this is where I have actually heard some of these stories before, but he called and basically was like, hey, I paid for the upgraded roasted maple neck because instead of just taking neck, curing it, and throwing your frets and everything on there, putting your board on there, they've got to cook it. So that is an upgraded option on most guitars. Jeff Kiesel literally went live on his Facebook, Instagram, which he does a lot. Normally says, hey, we've got these new in stock, the ones that said they're already built. You don't customize it, but they're ready to roll if those are the options that you like. We've got these going on. We're starting to do this type of finish. He does that shit all the time. He went live on a fucking rant and said, if you don't like these options, don't order the fucking guitar. I can't control how much these things are cooked and the color. It is roasted. It is a roasted maple neck. I can't control the color. I don't know what you want me to do.
Love it or leave it.
On a fucking rant.
Love it or leave it. Don't know what to tell you.
Pretty much. So he got a lot of shit for that because in recent times, Kiesel has gotten a lot of shit for their customer service and quality control, which are two very, very important things if you're going to be a guitar or instrument manufacturer. People are seeing these beautiful guitars online, and Kiesel has been known at pretty much the last like 10 NAMMs, maybe not that many, but at least the last 3 to 4, maybe 5 years. You walk by a Kiesel booth, you are going to see some of the craziest fucking awesome finishes on a guitar you're ever going to see. They're known for that. People want them. They look awesome, and you're getting a custom shop fucking guitar at a, somewhat affordable price, right? So this guy's mad, and he's putting it up. He's like, look, and it got so bad that the customer believed in that brand so much that he apologized to Jeff Kiesel and said, you must be right.
You're right.
My bad.
I'm wrong. Dude.
And then when that happened, because all of this was basically put online, when that happened, people really lost it to the point where after I saw this story, Jeff Kiesel did come out and apologize that it's been a bad week. They're still in the shop trying to work, and it's really limited people now instead of the full staff, obviously, with old Rona going on. So I get having a bad week, but you are literally the CEO of one of the biggest guitar manufacturers out there as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. When you go anywhere or see videos online and stuff, so many fucking people are playing Kiesels right now. It's ridiculous because, again, you get a custom guitar, at a fraction of a custom shop price, right? So
built in America too, right?
Built in America, built in whatever city, California they're in. And again, I have a picture on my phone, and up until I saw that story, I was like, one day I think I kind of want to get this. I saved this. It was the back of a guitar. Fuck, it was beautiful. It's like a flame maple neck and like this kind of like black color that they did it in. Awesome back of the body. They're doing anything from your typical standard single cut, double cut guitars to headless guitars. They have almost endless options. And then you could even call and order, I want bare knuckle pickups put in it. Great. It's going to be an upcharge. Here's why. Here's what's going on. But we'll do that for you. It's going to come to you ready to roll. And I've just seen so many problems come out of it. And then I see the story. I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I ever want to deal with that company, And it got to the thing where he got so full. And you know what? There's a lot of times I see him on and I do enjoy what he says. The guy seems like a cool fucking guy. It seems like somebody I would hang out with. He's not very old. I think he looks like he could be, or acts like he's late 30s maybe. Like, he's not that old. He's running this gigantic fucking company. They're not PRS, Gibson, Fender level, but as far as your brands underneath that, they're probably the biggest. And it's just, it's crazy. Other than like your Jackson, your people that those Fender people own, Jackson Charvel, obviously they got the Fender name helping them, and they're old school too. I don't know if Fender always owed them. I don't think they did. I'm sure they were their own company.
Jackson got acquired,
but they've obviously been around for years. But more people played Fender, Gibsons, and now PRS is one of the big three kind of thing. But aside from those, your other smaller companies out there, Kiesel is by far the largest. They have the biggest booth at NAMM, but I just thought that was fucking insane. Like, to come out and basically cuss out this guy. And then when he apologized, he's like, I hadn't realized that this guy, was such a long, amazing customer. And that's not the kind of customer service I want, this and that. So now what they're doing is you have the option to select light, medium, or dark roasted maple necks.
Oh, no.
So you get the color you want. No, it's just insane. Like, some of the smaller brands, I call him smaller, even though I said he's one of the biggest, but he's still smaller than the big three. They're going to lose business like that, and they're going to eventually have to shut shop down. The Carvin shop is shut down. His cousin, I think it was his cousins that ran that. They sold it, and they just shut down. There's no more Carvin amps or anything. It's hard for smaller boutique shops like that. And then even during today's times, like, and you're going to cuss somebody out because they wanted a darker neck and you refuse to replace it at the time, kind of crazy. He said he's going to replace the neck, but just another kind of crazy.
He didn't get a refund or anything.
I don't know. I'm sure something was worked out behind, but Jeff did say he's going to go ahead and rebuild the neck and he's going to take care of the guy. And, it was a lack of judgment on his end, of course. I genuinely feel him, but when I saw the video of him literally walking through the shop and he's just flipping over necks, it's like, this is roasted maple. This is roasted maple. I think what the issue was, the headstock in the back of the neck were the dark color with a fucking like plain maple fucking fingerboard. It looked terrible.
That's a weird
and
choice.
they shipped that out. That looked so fucking bad. So, yep, that's roasted maple. Ship it out. $2,500 to you, big boy. You know, that's ridiculous. You know, it's like I think the comment was, look, you're paying $2,000 and expecting a $5,000 guitar. That is the whole point of your shop. That is literally why people shop with you. That is your story. We're able to do this. We're able to make the money we need to make to stay afloat and do what we need to do, live our lives, have a greatly successful guitar company at the prices that you guys get to pay. And we're not charging that much. That's literally their whole story. Here's why you shop with us. You get that $5,000 or $6,000 guitar for $2,500. You know, because there's no middleman. There's nobody we have to worry about. We're our own shop. We're a small operation here. Where there's no reason to charge all of that. You know, I just thought that was fucking insane.
I agree. With that,
he apologizes. It's all great now, right? Moving on to bigger and better things. We are finally here towards the end of the show. Album review. Between the Buried in Me, Coma Ecliptic. What did you guys think?
What did you think, Niko?
So overall, I listened to it, and it was in one take. I didn't stop because I think that's how you should listen to an album. I don't know. That's just me. The mix, I always start with the mix. That's right. The mix was good. I really liked, it's a 2015 album, so you expect it to sound pretty decent. One thing I noticed was the instruments sounded really genuine to the actual, musician, if that makes sense. So the drums didn't seem like overly modulated or like layered with triggers and shit like that. It sounded like a drum set anyways.
Sample replay.
Yeah, if it was, they fooled the shit out of me, but it sounded like a drum set, which is nice nowadays, especially with all this absolute, it's just everything's digital now and it all sounds exactly the same. So when you actually hear true acoustic drums, it's a breath of fresh air. And the guitars, they didn't scream out to me. They were decent. I don't know anything about guitars, but nothing really reached out to my limited, ignorant ass. So that was good. Vocals, clean vocals, awesome. No auto-tune, it sounded so simplistic, but good. And that was super different nowadays. I'm not a fan of his screaming, but I do appreciate that he doesn't, like I said, digitally replace himself, basically. He screams, it's genuinely what you're going to hear at a show, I could tell. And yeah, so the mix overall, really good. Breath of fresh air, actually real instruments being played, and you could hear it for sure. As far as the songs go, overall, I can honestly say I didn't love this album. Listening to it was not the easiest thing. I almost thought it was something of a chore because of the song's really experimental, odd structure. Every single song is unique. Every single song is unique with like it almost doesn't really sound like the same band in every song for the most part. I mean, you get like their drummer's amazing. Their guitarists are amazing. The composing is really good, but it's like they're being different to be different. That was my biggest problem with them. It was like every song, like it's not, your typical structure, A, B, A, B, whatever. It was like, all right, let's go A, Z, Z back to B. All right, we're going to go create this other alphabet down here. And then we're going to go to the ceiling, create a fifth dimension, flip it sideways, and whatever. We'll just do whatever the fuck we want.
Reach up into that dimension's butthole. What do we pull out?
It was wild as shit. I don't hate it, but this is one of those bands that's like, this is my first impression because I've never listened to them. They're trying to be different to be fucking different. And for some reason, as I get older and older, that bugs me. If I listened to this band when I was a teenager, when, you're always looking for the edgiest, newest, most unique experience musically, at that age, at least I grew out of it, or it was a phase, whatever you want to call it. I would definitely listen to this band back then. And I would still have an affinity towards them like I do other bands, in my opinion, way more cringy bands. Like, what's a really good one? Kill Whitney Dead. Do you remember that fucking band?
Sounds familiar, but I don't remember.
Dude, they were straight up 2002. They had all their stuff was just
the grindcore.
Grindcore. Yes, thank you. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. The gravity blast snares.
Sort of. It was less. I believe it was more. It was all. They were always like violence with women, and they always had samples. They always had like a shitload of like actual samples from like movies or shit like that. That was a big thing, having like 10 samples in a song for no fucking reason. And it was terrible.
Okay, I know what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
those were the bands, and I still have a slight affinity, but I know how bad they are. This band is not that necessarily, but I can't see myself
not on the same plane at least.
Yeah, dude. It's a lot. It's different. If you're looking for something very different and unique, and something you maybe haven't heard before, go for it, because all these musicians are super fucking talented. I'm just not a fan of. I need something listenable, dude. Like, I'm gonna be 30 soon. Like, I need to be able to just kind of sit there, tap my foot. Yes, sir. Back in my day, you know what I mean? Get the fuck off my lawn.
This ain't no Kill Whitney, did
yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, man. So I liked it. I can respect it as far as the talent. That's it, though. I don't like their choices when it comes to song structure. How long they make songs is hilarious. One song was like 7. I think it was the second song after the intro. So yeah, second song if you're looking at the
second song.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Second song was fucking a million years, and then the song right after that is maybe 2.5 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, so do that more. But
this kind of album,
it's super over the top, super epic. It seems like a lot of storytelling. At some points, he's singing to you, and that's a little off-putting for me, because I feel like I just jumped into some sort of musical. But it's like super grandiose
rock opera.
Yeah, but it's like super grandiose, over the top storytelling. It seems to be. So if that matches, what you're looking for, awesome. I just can't palate it for very long. Like, is this something, Billy? Because this is your suggestion. This is your band. You've loved them for a long time. You've always talked about them. Is this a band like you frequently listen to? And you listen to them because you're like, oh, I love this song. It's it's a foot tapper.
Yeah, I can talk about kind of how I feel about it, and just rebuke just a little bit what you said. I'm with you on a lot of it, and I can totally see what you're saying. Do we want Daniel to go first, and then I can kind of cap it off, or you want me to go?
Daniel, go for it.
Daniel, cap it off.
All right, yeah. After hearing Niko, that was kind of interesting, because I was like, that's a different perspective I haven't heard enough.
That's a definitely interesting take on it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because I mean, for me, I grew up listening to a lot of prog rock and stuff like that. So all of it, to me, it just sounds like this is the same shit I've heard 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because I also know Giles, the side project of the lead singer. There's a lot of influences of his being influenced into this into this album that I was like, yeah, it's cool. He's adding Giles elements into it, or Giles, however you say it. But
I think it's Giles, but yeah,
Giles, but
sorry.
Yeah.
Giles. But yeah, hearing all the elements of that, more singing is great for me. Like I don't like his screaming voice either. It's super monotone, really dry. It just it does blend in with the music, so I do like it on that aspect. But when it's constant, it's like there's almost no point in you being there.
And his cleans are so good. You know what I mean?
His cleans are really good, and I was like, yeah, keep doing that. It was great, but musically, the prog rockiness. Also, I'm going to point this out. There's a lot of acid jazz. Fucking lots of acid jazz clean parts in there. This album is all Asia.
All right.
Yes.
Shut it down.
Pink Floyd.
Shut it down.
Al Di Meola.
Thank you guys for watching.
It is all the garbage you hate, Billy.
Man.
And I'm like, how can you say you like this crap when you will shame every other genre that they are based off of?
Bob, I was about to.
Their backbone is built on bullshit that you hate.
I was going to finish with that, and I can't believe we had parallel thinking on that point. Yeah, for sure.
I'm listening to it, and I'm like, Billy, you are a contradicting fucking butthole.
Butthole, dude. You're a butthole.
Oh, man.
This album is all of that bullshit that I like.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the album?
I liked it. I fell asleep to it. At one point when I've listened to it two full times during walks and stuff, and then I did a lay down and put on headphones and just I wanted to take a nap, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this on and see what happens, And I went out like a light, woke up, and the album was over, and I was like, well, can't say I had any crazy dreams or anything, so I guess nothing too crazy.
Fair enough.
All right, so this was probably a weird one to bring you into. So to me, between, I think Daniel's heard this, and between a couple other friends, we feel that this album is BT Bam's rock opera. As one of you guys put it that way, it is absolutely their opera album, which is so weird to say about a metal band. And that's how I felt about it when I first heard it, and I fucking hated it. I'm going to be honest. I love the band. I love the things to do, but I think it was just the first couple of songs. And you know, the first song I ever heard was...
so these, sorry, real quick, while you're doing that, this album, they don't typically sound like that?
Not typically.
They're still progressive metal band.
Yeah, they're still progressive. They still have a lot of jazz and stuff like that. They just don't have an overarching theme as intricate as this was
it's a rock opera. They have their albums where they take their fucking weird, even one of their best album, I think best selling album of all time is Colors. It's got to be, and it's the album that got me into BT Bam. Came out in the mid 2000s, late 2000s. Alaska was a lot of people's. Alaska was super fucking heavy, super melodic, super out there. And they started at least from what I saw, they started really getting that kind of almost progressive experimental tone or sound in Colors. There was some weird stuff so apparently they have successfully, at least up to this album, I watched the making of, they've successfully snuck in animal noises into each album. So like Colors had monkeys on it. I think lions or something was on this somewhere. And it's not even really them, it's their producer. The monkeys were part of them because it was part of the song, but like the producer has successfully like snuck in like these little like tidbits, you know, just different things. When I listen to them, I would think like they're some kind of like LSD taking guys that are just like, let's write an album, you know, but they're not, as far as I know. Maybe they are. I don't know. But what I liked about but basically when it started, again, I think the Coma Machine was the first song I heard off the album, and I couldn't get past it. Like I was like, it's a good song, but man, it's just like so weird. But it is the more and more. Again, maybe it came with age or something. You know, it's been 5 years.
You're starting to appreciate
now. I can't stop listening to it. Yeah, I'm starting to appreciate acid jazz. What I like about them is there's almost elements of a lot of like awesome stuff. Like there's definitely elements of Alice in Chains guitar riffs,
definitely
kind of thing in there. I mean, they're huge fans of Alice in Chains and Jerry Cantrell. So there's that. Sometimes I get like a Zeppelin feel, like a Led Zeppelin type feel to some of their riffs and stuff. Like there's a lot of different things going on all at the same fucking time, you know? So the talent, as you said, is there, but there's just something like, it's a breakup, you know? It's not just straight bang in your face metal, you know? And it's not just straight acoustic shit. There's a mixture of everything. And sometimes it's a little weird. And I think that's what threw me off a lot about this. And some of that clean vocals, again, was so operatic. I was like, what the fuck is going on? What did they do? That's it. BT Bam's done, right? Which isn't the case. Some of their newer shit is still really fucking good. But I think it was just like, let's not write the same shit. I don't think it was a try hard thing. I think it was just like, we're progressive metal, so let's be progressive metal. This is what we do. What can we do that's going to be really outside the box? And I think, at least for me, in my opinion, because of the talent, it turns into like that's what I kind of expect from them. You know, at this point, I expect nothing less than kind of this album at this point.
Yeah, and they've said openly too in an article I was reading that they're no longer heading back in the direction of what Alaska was. They're running away from that. They're not even going to play that stuff anymore. This is the new direction they want to stick with.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of. I mean, so there's a show that unfortunately it doesn't look like, and I got to figure out how to get our fucking money back.
I don't think we will.
There's a show May 4th that we paid for, including a VIP to meet the band.
I think we might be able to get that one back.
They were supposed to be playing The Great Misdirect, as well as so it was a two-part show. Yeah. They were going to play one full set of just a mixture of all their like kind of greatest hits, and then the full album of The Great Misdirect, which is the album before this.
Yeah.
Pretty sure? Yeah. Great Misdirect would have been the one before. No. Parallax came out before this, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Losing my mind. Anyways, Great Misdirect was around the 2008, 2009 timeframe.
It's the
great album, but that's kind of solid all the way through. Yeah, it was their 10th anniversary, so 2010, I guess, somewhere around there. So, but overall, like this album, it grew on me to the point where Option Oblivion, which is song number 10, is my favorite song, and I didn't hear that song until this year.
Oh, you just bounced off of it after a while?
Because it took so long that I would go through it. It's like, all right, this is good. Let me go to some other BT Bam stuff or something else.
Let me go back to the stuff
and it took so long And then now Option Oblivion, song number 10, and then actually going into Life in Velvet is some of the best shit I've ever heard. Like, it's heavy, it's good. Those are pretty straight, heavy songs, or normal sounding, if you will, instead of the weird operatic kind of thing. But I love that part of it. But the one thing that this album showed off was really good heavy tones when they're needed. Something I think BT Bam has never been like recognized for, if you will. When people describe BT Bam, they don't talk about their clean tones enough, and their clean tones are some of the best shit I've ever heard.
The only other person I ever talked about BT Bam with. No one else knows about them or cares.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you watch anything online or talk to anybody about it, you know, it's not something people bring up like, oh yeah, BT Bam, their clean tones are pretty fucking sick. Like, obviously, when you think about them, it's a heavy band or a heavy metal progressive band, right? But at the same time, it's like nobody talks about their clean tones. And it was funny. Daniel and I actually met Dusty Warren, the guitar player, Waring.
First time I noticed he had a
guitar player. Yeah, never noticed he had a birthmark.
No.
You did and I did, but we met him at a guitar shop, and that was the thing I asked him, like, do you guys ever get like recognized, or do people ever come up to you and talk to you about your clean tones? And I think he said no.
He's like,
from what I remember. So,
yeah, he was kind of like,
I don't think anybody's ever brought that up before, and I'm like, I am, because they sound fucking incredible. Like, of course they play on, one half of the band plays on the best guitars known to man.
Ibanez, you're right.
Actually, it's fun.
This is the band
funny.
that splits us
they
apart,
play on
Billy.
Ibanez
This is
and
the band that
PRS.
splits us apart.
What?
They play on Ibanez and PRS in the band. That's the two different guitars that they have.
Andy Wagner would be my guitarist, and Billy's Dusty Wagner.
Andy Wagner? Paul Wagner?
Paul Wagner.
There's division in the
Who the
ranks.
fuck's Andy Wagner? Is that a person? Sounds right. But overall, I thought this would be a good album to kind of listen to, but it was very different. I could see that. BT Bam at some point will come back up again as an album review. I'll let some time go. But it will come back again. Yeah, because I only listen to three things, so we'll just have to cycle through all the three bands.
House of Chains.
BT Bam.
BT Bam.
That's it. That's all I listen to. But yeah, so I'm glad. I knew Daniel would like it, but there is some weird stuff, and I knew he hadn't listened to the full album, so I figured I'd give you that. And then I'm glad you at least enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll have to introduce you to another one next time.
I didn't hate it.
I think you'll enjoy it. Alaska might actually be a good one, because I've never listened to Alaska fully.
Oh, okay.
I've listened to most of Alaska. I really like pretty much everything I've heard off of Alaska.
Dude,
the Alaska song used to be my ringtone to wake up in the morning, because it's fucking awesome. But I don't think I've ever listened to the full album, so that might be one that we'll have to do at some point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I caught on to Alaska when that came out, and I was like, oh, this band's nuts. And I listened to Silent Circus, and I was like, oh, this album's awesome. And then they had the side project Glass Casket, and I was like, oh, this band rocks. And then they don't do any of that anymore, and then it's all this now.
Right.
And for me, it was like I'm on that wheelhouse of people of kind of like, I miss that old stuff. That was awesome. No one else was doing that stuff, but yeah, they left it. I don't know if Glass Casket might come back and do that kind of stuff. That'd be cool.
I feel like I've seen some interviews on them doing some of that stuff, but obviously nothing like to tour with or do anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
could be wrong.
So the older themes of those were more closer tied to death metal, and they don't even come near to death metal anymore in these newer albums. Right. And that's just me. So that's why I like them. But gotcha. Anything else on BT Bam?
That was all right.
No, I think that's it. What do you got for us for next week?
For next week, I'd like you guys to check out a band I listen to very frequently. And I would say it was influential in the sense of like, I never even tried touching any of this stuff. This was like my exposure to high amounts of strings on a guitar could have, and the time structure mess ups of just everything, bands that can put math together and music and crap. I'll just copy paste this. That's a band called Obscura, album Cosmogenesis. And it was released back in 2009. It was an album I just really liked listening to, as well as the guitarist that was from it. I forgot what band he was from. I think he was from Necrophagus, and he left them and made his own side project called Obscura, and follow that along. And
what genre? Sorry,
genre technical death.
Oh, that sounds pretty chill. All right.
Yep. So the biggest thing is the bass player is probably the coolest part about it. It's a fretless bass bass player, like I was telling you before with that French Beyond Creation band for Technical Death. I'd say this band probably was before them, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember when they all came out.
Let's do it.
Cool, man. Well, let's get to it. All right, guys. So that's it's going to do it for us today. Another fantastic episode. Once again, thank you to anybody that has shared. If you like what you heard, give us some more listens, comment, like, subscribe, and then don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And then did I mention subscribe?
I think so.
Yeah, I think I did. All right, so anyways, signing out today. It's been fun. I am Chief Redbeard.
Well,
chicken of China, the Chinese chicken, Niko.
Drumstick. All right, cool. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. My cat's tearing the shit out of my